All right, guys, so we did a breaking news segment on this the other day, but I wanted to make sure to revisit it and show you guys the pictures and the videos and the speeches from this thing, because really, this is a huge deal. And I don't know how much mainstream media is going to cover it. I've seen a little bit of the coverage, but this deserves a hell of a lot of coverage. So we had these massive, gargantuan, colossal protests against Trump the other day. It was called the Hands Off protest. And the whole idea is people show up to protest Trump, to protest Elon Musk, and it's like, hey, hands off Social Security, hands off Medicare, hands off Medicaid, hands off Gaza, hands off Greenland, hands off our constitutional rights. Like, basically, the whole idea is everything this administration is doing is absolutely psychotic, unhinged, fascist, robber baron shit. And we need bodies in the streets. We need to send a message that this will not stand. So here, let's dive into it. I'll give you some of the specifics here. Organizers said more than 600,000 people RSVP'd for the events. So that is a higher number than anybody thought. You know, I saw numbers as high as 500,000, but now after the event, where people are going back and looking at it, they're going, it's more than 500,000. We're talking about at least 600,000 people. CNN pegged the number of attendees. CNN said the number of attendees is in the millions. CNN said that. So a higher estimate from CNN than even from the event organizer. 600,000, just the number of people who RSVP'd. How many people came and then brought friends or brought family, or people showed up when they didn't RSVP at all? Millions of people. So if that's the case, this is the largest protest in modern American history. It might surpass the protest against Trump in the first term. So, ready? There were 1,000 people in Anchorage, Alaska, 3,000 in Charlotte, 5,000 in Raleigh, 6,000 in Palm Beach, Florida, 7,000 in Des Moines, Iowa, at least 7,000 in Seattle, Washington, 10,000 in Denver, Colorado, 20,000 in Atlanta, Georgia, 25,000 at the Minnesota State Capitol in St. Paul, 25,000 in Boston, 30,000 in Chicago. In New York, the protest stretched along Manhattan's Fifth Avenue for nearly 20 blocks. Washington organizers estimated the crowd exceeded 100,000, roughly 5 times larger than they predicted. Ladies and gentlemen, this is super important. The fact that this happened means the country is showing signs of life. So when you're sitting there every day and I'm sitting there every day and I'm reading the news and I'm looking at the stuff that's coming out, I'm going, how the fuck is all this happen? Like, what the fuck? Every day they violate 12 new laws and illegally hack into a government agency and delete programs they don't like. Every day they trample on a new constitutional rights and take away due process and habeas corpus and ship people to a slave labor camp in El Salvador. How the fuck is this just happening? And like, seemingly everybody else is acting like this is normal. Well, it's not. And you're not the only one who sees it. Okay, so here we go. This one's from More Perfect Union. Let's see their video on it. Sign here that says, tax the rich, hands off our jobs. Let's go. That's a lot of people.
We also need Social Security. Hands off our Social Security. Hands up! Hands up! Hands up! Hands
up! Look at that crowd. This one, I think, is in Montana. There was a big protest in Montana. No Project 2025 on one sign, no oligarchy on this sign. The power of the people is greater than the people in power. All right, we're just getting warmed up. Let me show you some more pictures. Here we go. See this one here. This one's obviously Florida. Hands off democracy, Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid. Hands off our bodies. Huge protest, like they said, 100,000 in Washington, D.C. This one, I don't know where this is, but the weather ain't fucking good, and there's a lot of people there. All right, more pictures. This is Portland, Oregon. Bro, look at that picture. That's people as far as the eye can see. More. Huge crowd gathered in Austin, Texas. Here we go. Sign says, "Free Luigi." Doge, dangerous oligarchs gutting everything. These are what the signs say. Palestinian flag. Let's go. More. Here's a rally in Hartford, Connecticut. Nobody's thinking about Hartford. Nobody's thinking about fucking Hartford. And then boom, look at this. Look how many people showed out in Hartford, Connecticut. All right, here we go. This one was Bozeman, Montana. Hands off protest. So many people, man. That's like the whole population of Montana showed up in that bitch. All right, more. Here's one from D.C. Thousands march on ICE. In D.C., ICE are effectively the Gestapo of the Trump regime. Look at this. Palestinian flags all over the place. All over the place. By the way, here's another thing I love. At the same time, look at this. There's so many people. At the same time, you have all the hands-off protests against Trump and Musk. At the same time, there was an anti-genocide protest going on in Washington, D.C. as well. All the protests had massive numbers of people. And the fact that you had both these protests going on the same day, and you look at the hands-off protests, and there's a lot of Palestinian flags and hands-off Gaza signs. It's all coming together. Everybody's waking up. They're realizing all of these issues are linked. It is a linked issue to say, you can't destroy the social safety net in America and plunge everybody into poverty. And also, oh yeah, by the way, stop carpet bombing innocent babies with our money and our weapons in Gaza. And everybody is on the same side. And we're all fighting for the right thing here. All right, here we have some signs. You can't spell hatred without red hat. We talked about this the other day in our breaking news segment, but I wanted to show you the sign. Elon can oligargle my nuts. As Crystal said, that sounds like one that I made. Tax the rich, not the penguins. That's a reference to the tariffs on the Heard and McDonald Islands, which are completely uninhabited. Make the asshole go away. Make America broke again. That's what Trump wants to do. Honk if you never drunk texted war plans. That's about Pete Hegseth, obviously. The Third Reich. Does this ass make my country look smaller? And it's a picture of Trump. And then here we have dog tick, deer tick, lunatic, know your parasites. And of course, the picture by lunatic is of Trump. I'm still not done. This was Boston. More than 1,200 people in Boston. Look at this. People as far as the eye can see. Don't give in to hatred, this sign says. So I'm going to get, in just a second, Hasan Piker gave a speech at the anti-genocide rally, and he absolutely knocked it out of the park. So I'm going to show you that. Here's a sign that says, they're eating the checks, they're eating the balances. It's a reference to Trump saying in the debate, they're eating the cats, they're eating the dogs. Here we go. Look at this crowd.
Here's a live look at Boston, Massachusetts.
Boston, Massachusetts. Again, people everywhere.
So now, as we check back in on one of our top stories, anti-Trump protests taking place across the country today after a tumultuous week, to say the least.
Something's happening, man. People are waking up. They are absolutely waking up. Here's New York City with, like they said, it stretched 20 blocks. 20 blocks this thing stretched, man. There's a bird's eye view video showing just how big the protest is. Pittsburgh. Look at Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh in the house. Again, people as far as the eye can see. So many people. MAGA. Morons are governing America. Hands off our democracy. Hands off our democracy here as well. And I can't really quite make out some of these in the background. All right, more. We already saw this one. This is Boston. This is downtown Chicago. You can see how many people are there. A lot of people had this sign, and again, this is evidence of the mass awakening. The only minority destroying this country are the billionaires. That is exactly right. In the same way MAGA has their story that they sold to the American public, the problem are the immigrants, the problem are the trans people, they're the problem, they're why your life sucks. They sold that story, they sold that narrative with everything they had. Well, guess what? We need to have a counter-narrative. Democrats rarely have a counter-narrative. But the narrative is right there, and it's so obvious for everybody to see now because it's happening right in front of our faces. The billionaires are the problem. It's the robber barons. It's the oligarchs. They've captured our government. They are destroying the social safety net to give themselves more tax cuts and more corporate welfare and subsidies. And people are waking up to that. I like this one too. But it was the Gulf of Mexico at birth. In other words, flipping the anti-trans arguments against the right. saying, you guys want to call it the Gulf of America, but it was the Gulf of Mexico at birth. And you say all that matters is what happens at birth, right, bro? All right. Here we have Maxwell Frost gave a speech. I think this one is in D.C. Here we go.
They're the ones that are screwing us over on the jobs. They tell us that trans people are a threat to our children, but they're the ones dismantling public education. They're the ones denying the climate crisis. They're the ones poisoning our planet. They're the ones doing nothing about the national public health emergency of gun violence. And they want us to believe that they're the patriots of free speech. But they're the ones kidnapping and disappearing college students across this country that are just fighting for peace to ensure that innocent people don't die.
Maxwell Frost, friend of the show, been on Crystal Kyle and Friends, really been leading a lot in this moment. Phenomenal speech here. He has been highlighting the exact argument that we say Democrats have to make, which is the problem's not the trans people, it's not the immigrants. They're our brothers, they're our sisters, they're in the same boat as us. The problem are the billionaires. All right, more. So I showed you the sign already, but I want you to look closely here at this sign. What do you notice? Look at the whole picture, not just the sign. It's the Know Your Parasites, dog tick, deer tick, lunatic. In the background, you see Nazi, right? Are they referencing Trump? Are they referencing Elon? Are they referencing both? Not sure. Probably both, but you see only the bottom of the sign here. This looks to me, now maybe I'm wrong, but it looks to me like a standard liberal, resistance liberal wine mom who shows up to this event holding this sign. What does her hat say? Deny, defend, depose. That's what was written on the casing that Luigi Mangione used. So we've seen a few free Luigi posters and people wearing deny, defend, depose hats. I remember when I first came out and said, hey guys, understand something? The resistance liberals are all waking up. They're all going, hold on now. What the fuck? Like, Trump is a threat to democracy, a threat to our country. He's a fascist. He's a liar. He's an extremist. Why aren't you resisting anymore? Right? And what happened? They looked around and they said, oh, I see who's resisting. It's Bernie Sanders. It's AOC. It's the left flank. I'm with them now. So people who in the 2016 turf wars may have sided with Hillary Clinton over Bernie Sanders, right? Now they're like, look, call it what it is. The centrists did not put up the best fight against MAGA and the far right and the rise of fascism and the robber barons. It's the Bernies of the world. It's the leftists. So you're seeing resistance liberals, run-of-the-mill resistance liberals, wake up and go, oh, the problem is the fucking billionaires. We have to fight fascism. Who's fighting? Well, the left is fighting. I'm with them. And so now you see them Luigi posting on a daily fucking basis. All right, and finally, here is Hasan Piker's awesome speech at the anti-genocide rally. Let's listen.
Love you too. That's why I'm here today, to speak about love in some ways. I feel so emboldened and so galvanized seeing so many people out here demonstrating for a free Palestine. Something that I never thought I would be able to see so many people out in the streets, and even more at home, who recognize the cruelty and the inhumanity of the Zionist regime and the American government's unconditional support for Israel's genocide of the Palestinian population.
I need everybody to really soak this in, man. We just witnessed a protest with potentially millions of people in all 50 states, all around. Same time, anti-genocide protests going on. And look at the turnout. And he is spitting.
Now, I've spoken on this matter every single day, as have you. So we've said everything that must be said 1,000,000 times over. So I'm going to keep it short and sweet, also because I didn't really prepare for a speech, I'm sorry. What I want to say is this. Right now, this Trump administration has severely escalated the erosion of civil liberties for all Americans. Every single one of us. You have people getting black-bagged in the street, disappeared for the crime of speaking the truth. And that is precisely the reason why you demonstrating here matters. We must never allow these fascists to take away our voice, even if people don't recognize Even if people don't understand that one day they might be the ones who get black-bagged and sent to a slave labor colony in El Salvador without due process, we will fight for them too. Because every single person here understands the fundamental truth. None of us are free until all of us are free. So I want to end with that and say, free Mahmoud, free Humeira, free all of the political prisoners. From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. Your voices will not be silenced.
This should be giving you energy, man. This should be giving you strength. I'm ready to fucking run through the wall right now. Love that speech from Hasan. Proud of him standing up in this moment, giving that speech. And understand something, man. They really are disappearing people without due process. They really are disappearing people without due process. And the only way to fight back against it is if we all stand in solidarity at the same fucking time. And guess what? Elon Musk came out and responded to the protests. Ready? Here you have a right-wing liar says, terror, Soros-funded indivisible is openly admitting they are behind the 1,300 paid protests happening today in all 50 states. Democrat billionaires are funding these uprisings and they should be held legally accountable for the violence and vandalism. First of all, there was literally zero violence and zero vandalism. Second of all, are they really making the claim? 1 million protesters were paid by George Soros? They don't even believe this shit. They're not even trying anymore, dog. They're getting lazy. So Elon Musk chimes in and he says, they will be. So in other words, Elon Musk wants to try to legally go after the protesters. Under the guise that they're paid protesters and they're doing vandalism and violence, which they're not. They're not paid and they're not doing vandalism and violence. They will be. So you want to target 1 million Americans for disagreeing with you and exercising their First Amendment rights, their free speech, their freedom to protest, calling out your fucking bullshit where you are doing illegal actions on a regular basis, like illegally hacking into our government, stealing everybody's data, cutting the anti-scam police, destroying the Department of Education. So he's threatening legal consequences. Fuck no. We all stand up in solidarity. We all stand up in solidarity. So Midas Touch points out, keep downplaying the protests at your own peril. Keep threatening Americans. The protests will only get bigger. Trump is hated. Musk is hated. The political winds have shifted. People are fed up. This is only the beginning. And that's why, ladies and gentlemen, Joe Rogan has been dethroned as the king of podcasts, and guess who replaced him? The guys at the Midas Touch. Like they said, we're just getting started. When all's said and done, the trajectory we're on right now, let me tell you something. It ain't going to be 1 million or 2 million people out there in the streets. It's going to be 60% of the population. It's going to be a general strike. You're wiping out everyone's 401ks. You're raising prices, effectively raising taxes on the bottom 95% of Americans as you don't bring back manufacturing and you fucking lie about it. You're destroying the Constitution, destroying due process, destroying habeas corpus, threatening wars with our allies, saying we're going to steal Gaza. It is just getting started. It is just getting started. And this energy needs to continue. This is the one silver lining in these super dark times. Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop. And watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.